All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going today? Uh, really looking forward to sharing this live with you. And tonight, I'm going to be discussing about the authentic man, the private coaching experience that I've created, and I've made some updates to this program over the last 6 to 12 months, and really just want to do a deep dive of this experience, do a deep dive of what people can expect when they would join this experience, and speak to some of the inner workings of it, what makes this program different than other programs that are out in the world right now, and also just speak to some of the wins that clients have had through this work. So if you get a chance to join us live, just know that this is streaming on all my social media platforms. So if you comment, it is going to be a public comment. And what else to say? Yeah, just that if you are have you seen my work before, and you're already, you feel called to the work that I'm doing, and you want to book a call to find out more about what it is like to work with me, I'm going to put a calendar link in the comments, where you can book a call with me, or just send me a private message through one of the channels, and we will be in conversation. So I'm going to put that link. Actually, I'll do it afterwards. I'll do it afterwards, but there will be links in the chat. Um, okay, so I'm just going to check one thing really quick before I dive in here, before I start to dive in. Yes, I knew it. It's weird. Facebook will lock these things sometimes. So I'm going to make this public and good to go. Okay, so um, where do I want to start? So the first place I want to start with is really just like the logistics of the program, and some of the differentiators. So first of all, the authentic man, the private experience, is a one-on-one coaching experience. So when somebody signs up for this program, you get to work with me. And generally, I work with people from 6 to 12 months. Sometimes we work longer. I've got clients that I've been working with past that amount. Um, and we have a coaching relationship. We are meeting every week, or we're meeting at least 3 times a month, and we are working on crafting your life, the authentic, powerful, impactful life that you want to have. Um, and I think that like that in itself is worth mentioning, because a lot of coaching programs that are out in the world right now, what I would consider like mastermind or group programs, a lot of great work that's happening out there, but there's not this one-on-one attention. And the one-on-one is really key, because when you get to be in a relationship with a coach in a one-on-one basis, it gets to be a very like intimate, personal relationship where the coach really understands you. The coach understands your world. They're not just getting snippets of what you're up to. And I think that that's a really key part to personal transformation. Um, so a couple of things I just wanted to speak to, because sometimes I forget these things, is that like I've had my own coach for, at various points over the last 4 years, and I've invested both money and time in the development of my own coaching abilities, but also in like my own personal development. I've had this experience that I've created, really is an embodiment of me and my journey as well. And I've also completed multiple coach training programs, and have been evaluated at a high level, which really supports my growth, right? Because when there's another coach that has evaluated my coaching time and time again, they're going to be pointing out things where I can improve, where I can be better at holding that space. So that's, just a bit of a differentiator just from the beginning about some of this work that we're doing together. And if you have any questions or any comments or anything coming up for you as we uh, have this conversation, please feel free to jump in. Um, and one of the things that I would say is sort of the promise of this program is that for somebody that would sign up for this program, this Authentic Man coaching experience, is that if you take this work on, you commit and you complete the program, in 6 months, or up to a year, that like you will create more peace and authenticity in your life. My promise is that you will know yourself at a deeper level, and your being who you are from this experience will be a catalyst for change in your relationships, your career, your lifestyle. I really stand by that because I've seen it again and again from creating this with other clients. And I think that one thing to really point out is that like, um, this program is a very like, deep program in the sense that we're looking to create an integrated life, a holistic life that really is reaching in all areas. Development of your relationships, your career, your lifestyle, your health and fitness, all of these areas. And at times that can kind of feel like, oh, that's just something, potentially to put off, or like that's, I'll get to that. What I would really stress is like the real urgency of like not putting this stuff off in your life. That like if you see an opportunity for growth, or things that need to be, adjusted in your life, to take something on like this, because um, creating the possibility now in this time of your life, really is going to create pathways into the future. So that's something that I wanted to put into the space. So what I'm going to do now is speak to the 5 pillars of the program. What I've determined that like are the 5 key elements that will support any man going through this program, and really, connect to that promise that I initially just spoke to. So I'm going to speak to both the pitfalls of not focusing on this area of your life, or getting this area like wrong. I'm going to speak to what's unique in my process, and then I'm going to speak to some of the experiences of, the men who have gone through this and what they've created. So the first pillar that I talk to is what's called forging the authentic, confident man within. So what I really like, again, just as a foundation, that like the foundation of an authentic man is a man who can just be out in the world, be himself, understand his strengths, his weaknesses, and have a real knowing of who he is and what he can generate in the world. I would say that at the essence is what we're looking to create here. So I'm going to start with like the pitfalls there. So oftentimes what I see in other coaching programs, and sort of the perspective here is like, well, okay, I want to be more authentic in my life. I want to shift how I'm being, so I need to take the fastest possible route to this. Maybe I'll just learn some affirmations, or take a 10-step process or a 6-week program. And those things can help on a surface level. Um, but like what I find is like this is deep work to really know yourself authentically and really discover who you are, so as to create like, just deeper connections and more of an impact out in the world. This is a process that takes time, and it also is a daily commitment, a daily commitment to deepening your awareness of who you are, really understanding your strengths and your weaknesses and how they impact the world. Um, and so oftentimes, like what I see here is that a lot of people will look to create authenticity, or like really look to understand themselves through their achievements or their successes. I've got the job that I want, or the relationship I want, or the nice car, or the nice boat, and that has its like place in our life. But um that like that's only one part of it. What we really, want to be connected to here is like, who are you? What are the qualities that you bring to the world? How do we foster that core being of who you are that encompasses the achievement, the successes, the positive thinking, all of those things. And so what's unique about this program and the authentic man is that like we go through multiple exercises to determine your strengths and who you are in your shadows, who you are in your ego, your fears. And what we're looking to really cultivate is a whole being, somebody that has an understanding of like, this is where I show up in my greatness, and this is where I show up when I'm in fear or when I'm scared. So that's really what we look to cultivate in this place. And there are processes to do that. The other thing that's been really apparent to me as of late, and really through my own of being coached, and obviously through coaching, is that inevitably in a one-on-one coaching relationship, you are going to be seen and cared for and acknowledged and seen in your greatness. And that alone is a cultivator for authenticity, for personal awareness. Um, what I like to say here is like, you know, just having a coaching container in itself like this is going to foster this deep inner growth of who you are. So as I was kind of speaking to in terms of like what I've seen for the experiences of the men that I've worked with, um, is that like ultimately you have a champion in your corner. You have somebody championing you in your corner, somebody who sees you in your greatness and continually challenges you to step into your greatness. I can speak to practically all of the clients that I've worked with that like when we first started working together, there was, kind of a holding back, maybe a little bit of a niceness to how they're approached, or even like a little bit of a like, oh, I gotta, check my vulnerability here. Like, how much do I share? And over time, the trust really builds. And what's really magical about this work is like, I just think of the men that I'm in coaching relationships with right now that like they are whole human beings who are showing up powerfully and digging deep and really understanding who they are. And like it's really beautiful to witness. And so what I would say is that these deep coaching conversations become a clearing for authenticity, an opening of that authenticity. And then there's these continual practices that we go through. So that's the first phase of this coaching experience. So let me know if you have any questions about that, any curiosities that are coming up for you. I got a lot of notes here, so I'm going to be here for a while. The next phase is what I would call creating the next year of your life with clarity and purpose. So where I see the pitfalls here often is that even in creating a vision or setting a goal, it's often a losing process from the start. So we often will set goals to create a fix in our lives, or we set a vision or a goal that we want to be tangible and like achievable so that we don't have to be with the failure of missing out on something. And what I really notice here is like, so we already kind of start in this like losing state, and then um, we still aren't really clear and understanding like what we're doing this for. Often it's coming from a place of ego or survival or fix that like we feel lost right from the beginning. So we set out on this journey, we feel motivated, and then we get taken out because we don't really have a clear path, or we run into resistance. And so what's unique about the authentic man experience is that my being as coach is that I'm bringing a skill set of true, what would I call it? Like just bringing that clarity and purpose. First, supporting the client to really reach for what they want. What do they yearn for? What do they desire in their life? What is the experience that they want to create in their life? And we get really clear on like what it is that they want. They want to create something in their career. Well, getting really honed in on like, what does that mean? What position is that? How much money do you want to be making? And what's the experience that you want to have there? Or, you've been struggling to address conflict in your relationship. What would it look like for you at the end state here? What do you want? How do you want to be when it comes to conflict in your marriage? And how do you want those conversations to go? So we get really clear, we get aligned with your purpose in life. Um, and I think the piece here that I really want to speak to that is also really different than what's out in the world is that we take a holistic approach to this in this program. I am not just going to be supporting you to focus on your marriage or your career. I want to create this in such a way that your whole life is being attended to. It doesn't mean that we don't put additional focus and effort on the areas that there's potentially struggle. If marriage or confidence or your career is that place to struggle, inevitably more attention is going to be put there. Probably more of our conversations are going to be focused there as well. But we're always sort of attuned with what's the bigger vision? What is the ultimate like focus of your life? So, a couple of examples that I point to here are for my clients is like I've had a client who, was in the process of creating an app. And he's at a point now where he went through that process in the coaching experience together where he put the team together, he designed that app, and now it's functional, it's out in the world, and he's doing great things with it. I've had another client who, when we started working together, was really desiring to create a coaching business. And through our work together, started to put in the steps to create that business, start to enroll clients. And then, across the board, there's other clients as well, where we're creating, we're in this process of truly being aligned with the vision and the purpose of their life. So, and that's needed. That's absolutely needed in a coaching experience like this to really understand that we're not just playing for 2 or 3 months down the road. We're playing for 6 to 12 months, and really creating the possibility of what can be in one's life. So that leads me into the third part of the program, or third milestone that we look at, which I would say is addressing conflict and tension with more power, confidence, and ease. Because as we step into our authenticity and we create this vision of our life, this vision in alignment with possibility and intention, inevitably we're going to run into resistance. We're going to run into roadblocks, whether it's of our own creation or we have to have difficult conversations with a spouse or a partner, or we want to go for that promotion and we have to have that conversation with the boss that we've been avoiding. It's inevitable that some element of tension or conflict is going to come into this experience. And what I notice is that this is an area that a lot of men struggle with. This seems to be sort of one of the breaking points that has men limit their potential. So the pitfall that I see here for a lot of people is like they're using rehash strategies. Or like if you've generally been conflict avoidant in your life, you read a book and then all of a sudden you're like, well, if I've been like a nice guy, well, I just have to be like a bulldozer and I have to be aggressive. And like that serves its purpose for a while. And then inevitably we kind of end up in the same place. If we felt like we had like shallow connections before and we didn't really stand up for ourselves, well, we might be standing up for ourselves, but we still inevitably have like the shallow connections. And we feel kind of empty in this place. Sure, we might feel powerful, but like, or we feel a different sense of power, but that connection still isn't there. So, or the flip side of that is like the pitfall is that we never address our conflict avoidance. We never address the tension points in our life. And we continue to feel bad about the person that we are showing up in the world because we continually stay in this rut, this place of being stuck. So what's unique about the authentic man experience is that we go deep, and we really look at what areas have you been avoiding, or that you're going to need to address in this experience. But we go even deeper than that, because we look at what are the triggers, what are the fears, what are the beliefs that you have here about conflict and the tension points in your life. What aspects cause you to freeze or even flee in a situation? So in this experience, like, you're going to be challenged to have those conversations, to to really, like, address the things that you've been avoiding in your life. But the thing that we want to look at doing here is doing it in partnership, doing it in partnership with our bosses or our intimate partners or our family members, because that's really what it's all about, is that partnership, and looking for that win-win that we can have together. So that's a big part of this program, is stepping into that place. And what I would say here is truly allowing yourself to um, show up authentically when conflict arises in the moment or tension arises, that, like, you can address it if needed, or you can take a step back, but inevitably, but you will address it. And, like, that's really the mentality that we want to get into, is that, like, we are a stand for, facing those challenging situations in our life. And a couple of examples that I can bring from clients that I've worked with. I've had one client that I worked with who this was a big focus when we started working together. Was that there was a lot of tension and fear of having, addressing the conflict in his life, both in his marriage and at work, and would look for excuses so as to not have those conversations. And, we've been working together for over a year now. And, a few months back, he shared, like, hey, I've done it. Like, I've reached this point where, like, I just feel like I can bring these things up in the moment. I can be authentic and just speak to, if the conflict, has bothered me or something needs to be addressed. So it's really cool to see this. Another side of it that I see as well is, like, also being able to hold more depth in conflict in relationships, instead of it being a blow up or like an avoidance, but actually, like, what what questions do I need to ask here? Or, like, what do I need to speak about my feelings in this moment? Or, like, how can I address the feelings of the other person? So this has, like, long lasting effects in our relationships, in our careers. It's really powerful. So that's the third component of this program. Let me know if you have any questions around this, any curiosities that are coming up for you. So, and it builds, right? This is the whole thing. We're speaking to we're building this authenticity within us, this inner authenticity, this inner confidence. We've created the vision and the purpose of our life for, a year, and we've gotten really clear on what we're going to be working on. We understand that there's going to be tension and resistance that comes up. And now where we want to look at is being a leader who follows through on commitments. This has been an area that I've really noticed can be very confusing for people. And where I'll say this, I'll kind of align it with the pitfall, is that, like, oftentimes when we we struggle to follow through on our commitments, and especially when we start to face resistance or challenge. Um, and then when we can't create the breakthrough or that step forward that we want to create, we fall back into our comfort zone. And the impact of that is that it ultimately leads to a life of safety, and I would say even a bit of emptiness, because we yearn for something. We want something to be different in our lives, and we inevitably fall short time and time again. And so what's unique about this coaching experience is that we create a roadmap. We're also going to create the space in your life to be able to execute on the roadmap, and we create consistent practices as follow through. What I would say here is that this coaching experience creates a container for integrity, commitment, and intention, that, like, we work in partnership together here to move you towards the vision that you have. Doesn't mean that it's not going to get rocky or there's going to be breakdowns at times, but that's the aspect of the partnership right here. Um, and I really, there's a few other things that I want to speak to, because what I have experienced in coaching in in some of the coaches that I've had, and also in some of the programs, is that like it is so important for a coach to be able to hold the container when a client faces resistance or they're not following through on something. My experience has been, and this is there's a lot of coaches out there, but like this is the most challenging place for a coach to hold, because the easy place is just to come from a place of positivity and not address like the elephant in the room. That is not where I come from. For me, I would be doing a disservice for my clients if I never addressed the setbacks or the frustrations or the resistance. So I will follow through with clients. I'll follow through on the practices, and really, it's following through from a place of love and really standing for their greatness. And what I find here is that we just move towards the vision and the purpose that we have in life. And what happens is that the client becomes a beacon for others. Others start to see, like, what is up with this person? They are on fire, they are committed, they are creating, they have consistency. And so I really see this as a real development of leadership and possibility in this place. So, and it's funny, I was thinking of some examples for this, and initially I was really focused on like the being aspect of it. And what I've noticed is that, let me just sort of speak to a couple of examples. One specifically is I had a client who, he has a moving business, like a moving company, and he really struggled to create proposals for his business. He was really wanting to be accommodating for everybody and would kind of shortchange himself. And through our process, we really looked at some of the underworkings of his business. But what we really created there was an opportunity where he just was flat on his proposals because he knew he was undercharging. And and through this process, we basically set a target of like, well, you're going to figure out your pricing model, and then you're going to give people, one of those pricing models, A, B, or C, and you're not going to waver for them. And we would continually check in on like, hey, how is this going? What are you noticing? And this started to just become routine for him. So it's such a cool place to see where, when we follow through on our commitments, the real impact that this can have on life. So then that leads to the last place. And there's many more places that I could talk about as well. But and I will mention probably a couple other things. But like the fifth pillar of this experience is what I call creating a life of joy, peace, play, and adventure. So here's the pitfall. The pitfall is that I find most people are overworked. We have a lot of responsibility, and we look to sort of fit joy, play, and adventure as a subset of life. And what I've noticed, especially in the last year in working with clients, is like that really creates a grayness in life, like a neutrality, and we feel defeated because we've taken all the right steps in life. We've taken the steps, that society has told us to take, and the life that we yearn for feels unattainable. So the pitfall here is that most people try and create the adventure and the play as like sort of a subcategory of life, the subcategory of career. And what makes this unique in this authentic man experience is that you will be challenged to make play and adventure a part of an integrated life. So we do amazing work around your being, your relationship, and your career. But we also tap into like what lights you up, what brings you true satisfaction, and we really cultivate this in your life. We take the steps to look at, how do you slow down? How do you create more time for yourself? How do you create more time for your well-being? I've really noticed this in all of my clients where there's a real shift a real shift and just more of this expansiveness in life. Clients that are, playing more sports, taking more vacations, or even like creating a purpose in life of adventure and really like empowering that. So it's 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 a really essential part of this experience. So, and then the two other things that I want to speak to are some of the additional pieces that I've brought in over. Uh, one's been around for a while, and then the other one is new. So, one of the additions to when you sign up for the Authentic Man experience is that you actually get to join the private membership community that I've created as well. So what I've noticed over these years is that I've done great work one-on-one with my clients, and there was no community for them. So they would be doing this amazing work, and they'd still have to go out and create community, which is important, absolutely. But what I've done is I've actually created a membership community too, and I've allowed all my coaching clients to join this membership community along with members, people who aren't, the private clients. And what they've come together, and we've developed this intentional, powerful community. And what I really find, I kind of look at it from the place of like, so I've got these clients, these private clients who are on their own separate island. They do their deep work on this island, and then, but at the same time, they can come together. They can join one another, on this central island as well whenever they want, and check in with each other and have conversation. So that's an additional perk to the one-on-one coaching, is that you get to join this membership community. And then the other benefit of joining is that I've also created, back in the day, the first coaching program I created was called the Lifestyle Accelerator. And I created a course with that program, a course that has some great resources around mindset, visualization, planning, some really great resources. And that course gets included into the experience as well. What I find is like it's an additional component to the deep work that we're doing. It's a place that like, hey, if you want more resources or things to check in on, it's there, it's available for you. And yeah, you get lifetime access to that. So those are the essential components of the Authentic Man private coaching experience. There is much more that we dive into in this experience, and I'm imagine all you have to do is go and watch the testimonials that my clients have given me. If you want to ever check out testimonials, they're on my website, but I can also send them to you as well, and you'll see the amazing work that these folks have been up to in many different areas of life. What I want to speak to here to end the call is like, who is this experience for? You might be thinking to yourself like, am I ready for something like this? Who is best suited for this? So here is some of the things that I've noticed, for who this is for folks who feel like there's been a bit of like an inner earthquake in their life. So they find that they've lived a very meaningful life to this point, but they want more. They want more in life, more passion, that authenticity, that deep connection. They really yearn for like a different way of living. This experience is for you. Ready to do deep work and committed to creating something powerful in your life. This is deep work. There's no doubt about it. And it's an intensive experience, right? I work with people from 6 to 12 months, and we are really intentional in the work that we're doing. We get to have fun. We get to play in our conversations. But we're here to do some deep work together in partnership. Another component is responsibility. Folks who are responsible for the life they're creating, and they take ownership for who they're being and where things could be going better in their life. So, what I say here is that like there's this ownership through and through of, where things are going well and where things can be improved. And really like, it's not to say that we don't get to be a victim at times or frustrated with our circumstances, but continually choosing back into that responsibility and choosing, you in this process to move yourself forward. Intentionality, that you're ready to be challenged. You're ready to face your fears. You're ready to go deep and go to places that you haven't likely visited before. It's going to happen in this experience. And so being intentional in like what you are committing yourself to. And the last place is, ready to be supported, ready to be seen, again, ready to be challenged and ready to be called forward into your greatness. There's a lot there, and it's really worth sitting with and considering, committing when you commit to an experience like this. And where I'll end on this is that, like, after hearing about this experience, if you feel called to be in conversation about it, maybe you're not sure, maybe you're still not clear on some components of it. What I would say is book some time with me. Send me a message, and I'll put my links in my booking calendar link into the comments afterwards. I'll also put my website in as well. The process for jumping into an experience like this, what I would say is, like, we need to have a conversation. We need to explore what it is that you want to create in your life. What are some of the current hurdles that are in the way? And really determine, like, is this the time? Is this the time to join an experience like this? So, yeah, looking forward to, if this is something that you're interested to have that conversation with you. And if now is not the time, feel free to, keep me on your radar and come back. Or even, like, if you're not sure at this point, still have that conversation with me. I'm happy to support. I'm happy to help you take those first steps. So if there's any questions, stay for probably another 30 seconds or so. But um, thanks. If you got to the end, that went a little bit longer than I expected, but I really wanted to give a deep dive into the experience. There's been some really amazing work that has been created in this experience. I love doing this work because I grow as well. As I was mentioning to somebody who's part of my membership program, like, that's the beauty of this work, truly, is that, like, I get to grow as well. I'm learning things every time I'm in conversation with somebody and going deeper into this work. So, yeah, it's truly been an honor, to this point. And the beauty is that this work just continues. It's going to just get better and better and more expansive and powerful as I continue on. So let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer them, once you've watched the replay. And thanks for checking this out. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.